Welcome back, loyal listeners, to this week's Pull here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey, Jake, I got a quick question.
What's up, man?
Are you really trying to flood the algorithm of YouTube with making 4 videos in one day?
Absolutely. Getting as many fucking people on here as we can. All right.
Christ.
And as you guys can see from the title of this video, you clicked on the DC or independent stuff that came out this week, and we're going to get straight into it. From the creators of Jessica Jones comes Pearl. By
It's a
Brian
good thing
Michael.
you don't narrate trailers. It's a good thing you don't narrate
I'm Mr.
trailers.
Movie Phone. All right, and so by Bendis and Gaydos, we got Pearl issue 2 from by Brian Michael Bendis' Jinx World imprint, and this is obviously the follow-up to issue 1. And Josh, what did you think of this one?
Well, still pretty vague. I mean, it's a little bit better story-wise. I kind of dig it a little bit more.
Yep.
But out of everything that's coming out, Jinx World, the only thing this really has going for it is some of the art and some of the splash pages in it.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I mean, after following, Cover, Scarlet, United States versus Murder Inc., it's like this one kind of is falling by the wayside for me.
Yeah, this one's kind of fizzling out pretty quick. I mean, I see what Bendis is trying to do by trying to create intrigue by not giving you information, basically giving you as little information as possible, and trying to give you visual cues as to a storytelling device as opposed to dialogue or narration. I get that, but it's just not that exciting. It's not pulling me in the way those other Jinx World imprints are.
Yeah, it's the only thing. I mean, I am intrigued. I am going to give it one more issue. I always believe that you should give everything about at least 3 to 4 issues before you can make a heads or tails of the book. And I mean, I'm a little intrigued to see where it goes after this issue. But the thing is when you're writing a book and you're on your first issue, your second issue, you have to have something that kind of draws people in. And I can see if somebody was to say, "Hey, I don't want to pull Pearl anymore." Like, I can understand why. It's not picking up fast enough.
No, the only thing is Brian Michael Bendis, I think he's trying to hit the same goal as he did with Jessica Jones. I mean, look at all his Jinx World stuff. You got Scarlet, female protagonist who's a badass with a gun.
Yeah, she's been around for a while, though.
Yeah, but then you've got Pearl. She's also kind of a badass with a gun now. United States versus Murder Inc. You got a little young girl as a badass. And then, what was the other one? I can't remember right now. There's a fourth one.
Cover.
Cover, yeah, same thing.
Girl. Yes.
All strong
artist.
female protagonists, and this one just seems to kind of be white noise amongst those other 3.
Well, Cover isn't. Well, I guess Cover does have a
Yeah.
female somewhat antagonist. I feel like it's more based around the comic book creator, but
Yeah, but either way, I'm just saying, like, all very strong females, all, kind of badass and cool, and this one's just kind of white noise for me. So, with that, I'm going to give Pearl issue 2, 2.25 Napkin Men.
I give it 2.75 Napkin Men.
Okay, moving on to Justice League number 8, or you can call it The Legion of Doom, by James Tynion and Mikhail Janin. This one I liked, but I don't know, man. I can't really tell if I liked it or not. I really think DC needs to stop trying to make the Batman Who Laughs a thing. It's never hit for me. It's been a character that's just never really grabbed me that much.
I thought, I kind of enjoyed the character a little bit. I don't like the fact that they're putting him in this.
No.
Like, I don't like that they're putting him in this universe and the main DC universe. I like the idea of trying to, like, maybe do an Elseworlds tale with him, like they're kind of doing with the DC Black Label. This, it just feels out of place. It don't feel right.
It doesn't. It doesn't fit with these other characters.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
And what they're doing with this whole source wall, and the source wall is broken, and all the elements of creation have now broken out from the Big Bang, into humanity. It's like they're trying to be very specific about a very vague concept. I still have very little idea what the totality is, the source wall breaking, all that stuff. It seems very vague and nebulous to me. It's very abstract concept, but they're trying to put specific things into it but still remaining very vague, and it just loses my interest.
It does the same. I'm glad that you said that too, because one thing about it is I read it and I go, well, I get the main premise of it. I get the meat, but, like, I don't understand all this other stuff. Like, I just feel like they're really taking it and making it, stretching it out as long as they possibly can, and using these big fake or not fake, but, like, they're using these big scientific terms and stuff, trying to fancy up what is just really it's a broken source wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's all theoretical science at this point,
Yeah.
but I like what's happening with Luthor, but the thing is, like, people like Cheetah and Black Manta kind of getting their own side missions in this, they don't seem to add up. And then in this issue specifically, you've got Grodd, Sinestro, and Joker all just playing spectator for no reason. This book seemed like the epitome of filler issue, and that really bites because I really like James Tynion's last issue that he did the Legion of Doom on.
Yeah, to be honest, I've kind of fallen off of it. I only really picked this up to read it because normally I probably wouldn't have read it at this point, just because I really am not liking the Justice League run. But I picked it up because Tynion's Legion of Doom issue, last one, was actually really good, and I liked it a lot. And also, I mean, this does have a killer variant to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
killer.
I mean, I kind of enjoy the Batman Who Laughs. I think that he's a cool character. I just think that he's better just being by himself. I don't want to see him interacting with all these other characters that I know, because his character doesn't really fit into there.
To me, he just reeks of Dark Knight metal. I'm trying to get that taste out of my mouth. I have been for a long time. And then there's also a character in here named Starman. It's a very generic name, but I also don't know if it's a character that's ever existed before in DC Comics. If so, it's always fallen under my radar. But he's kind of introduced in here, and it means jack shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty forgettable issue.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to give this one 1.75 napkin men.
I'm right there with you.
All right, let's move on to something that we enjoyed. I am assuming you enjoyed a little bit more than that. It is Teen Titans issue 22 by Glass and Chang. This is what I want from a Teen Titans book. This is what I'm looking for. You've got action, you've got great character conflict, you've got great character interaction, and you've also got this side story going on with Robin. I loved this. And also they're dealing with the death of Roundhouse, right?
Yeah.
And all of that mixed together is making for a really good team. It's making for a team I really like. There are characters in here that I've never given a shit about, but like Crush, I think she's pretty awesome in this book. Emmy, or Red Arrow, who I remember from the Green Arrow series, she's not written the way she was in that series, but I'm going to let it fly because I really dig what they're doing with her. But they're also kind of making her the Green Arrow from Arrow TV show. They're kind of making her that character from the group, but I'm fine with it because somebody needs to be, because Robin's kind of busy doing his own thing. I like Jin. I think she's such a cutie. And then Kid Flash. This is actually some of the best Kid Flash I've written with the new Wally West.
Yeah, I mean...
Or Wallace, I should say.
Wallace, yeah. No, I mean, I've loved this book since issue 1, and it's still impressing me. Or not issue 1,
I would say from
its issue, like,
right.
The rebranding, yeah. And I'm loving it. I know that, like what you said, M is not written the same way that she is in Green Arrow. In Green Arrow, she seems very...
she's still more Kid Sister.
She's very Kid Sister,
yeah.
And she's very, constantly trying to impress Oliver and everything. To me, this just seems like she's finally grown up.
Right.
And I like that. And I like the fact that she actually seems like she could hold her own against everybody plus Robin.
Yeah, she proves herself a real badass.
Yeah, and I love the fact that this team has flaws. I love that they show these flaws, and the issue is also driven a lot around the flaws of this team, but they're not perfect. And and the side little thing that Damian's doing is, I love it. It's kind of keeping me on edge, even when there's a surprise character that comes up. And I was like, and normally I would be like, oh, whatever, but I was like, this is cool. This makes sense. I like this. It's the whole thing. It's just great. It's written well. It's enjoyable for, I feel like, adults and kids, even though it gets a little dark at times.
It does.
But I agree. This is a good, this is what a teen team comic should be written like. But the other thing, too, is this is also like a team that we really never have seen that much before. The closest we've gotten to is Young Justice, the TV show. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, because it's dark, it's troubled, there's flaws. Everybody has flaws. Even the best person on the team is doing something that is, it teeters on this whole right and wrong thing. It's really good.
Yeah, what I think is great about this book is he took a bunch of nobodies that I really couldn't care less about. Like Emmy, I really couldn't care too much about. The new Wallace West, I don't care much about. Crush, I never heard of. Jin, I'd never heard of.
Crush was created new for this.
Right, and then Damian is the one Robin who of late I've come around on. But you created a great book out of a roster of characters that no one really gave a shit about. Like, this book really doesn't have any right to be as good as it is. The one thing that I will say I didn't like about this book is that, if you guys listened to the last issue that we talked about, the last review we did on the Teen Titans book, is it kind of undoes something that I figured they were going to undo. But whatever, I'll let it go because I was expecting it, but I would have really been impressed had they gone a little bit further with it. Yeah, but with that, I will say this is the best issue of Teen Titans so far since this new team was created.
I mean, it's really a tough tie because I'm kind of feeling the same way that I do about each issue. I think that that first issue of this creative team, this meets the same par as that, because when that one came out, I was like, this is amazing. I mean, but
for me, it was just like there's a great interaction with Jin and Robin. There's this guilt on Wallace's part. There's Emmy teaching the team. Like there's just really great things happening.
Yeah,
with these
there's
characters.
a lot of good moments. Yes.
And I think that should, like, each issue should get better the more this team has spent time together.
Oh yeah, totally.
So with that, I'm gonna give this 3.5 Napkin Men. I want to give it 3.75, but I just can't bring myself to do it yet.
I'm giving 3.75.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the same boat with you about that ending. The ending does kind of like, but I can live.
Yeah. All right, moving on to some Tom Kingness to end off the video. We're going with Batman number 55 first with Tom King and Tony Daniel on the art. And Tom King he's 50-50 on this book. He's going back to his old ways where it's like, okay, what does this mean? Why should I care? Why am I reading this? This feels pointless. And then you've got this great thing going with Batman and Nightwing, and I'm loving it. And it feels like the first act of a really good, interesting movie. But that's the problem. It only feels like the first act.
One thing is, I've never really I liked Tom King there for a little bit with this Batman run. Then I fell off real fast, and then I've been picking up the issues ever since 50, and each issue has been very, I haven't been disappointed with any of the issues. And this is another issue where I was not disappointed. Normally, I know what you're talking about with the going back and forth. He does that a lot, and I hate it. This time is the only time that I've actually was okay with it.
I mean, it didn't bother me as much.
It doesn't bother me as much because it seems it's progressing a story along.
Well, not only that, but you're like, interjecting between each one of those is a great dynamic between Dick and Bruce.
Yeah. So you get a piece of doll moment, and then you get this really awesome part. And this whole Dick Grayson and Batman being back on the prowl together, it's great. I love it, and he definitely has that dynamic down.
Yeah.
It makes you want him to.
I would actually rather Tom King write Nightwing now. After reading this, I would much rather him on a Nightwing book.
Definitely. But I actually really didn't. I really enjoyed this. The breakaway parts, switching back and forth on the story, it kind of makes sense at the end. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people that's in the comic book community that's also paying attention to what's coming out, they kind of see this coming. Once you start reading a little bit and then you start seeing what's going on, you see what's going to happen, you see how this is going to end, because if you're following anything that you know is coming out within the next couple of months, you already know what's probably going to happen.
Yeah. The cover is probably my least favorite thing. Michael Janin, I think he does a great job. I'm not a big fan of the regular cover. I love that variant cover, though. That variant cover is beautiful. But the thing with the fighting the mummies in this book, I really don't think that's going to come into play anymore, but I think it's just kind of supposed to be an end to Batman fighting his demons, laying his dead bodies to rest, basically. I mean, that's how Tom King, he operates. And I do love this. I'm not going to say I love this book. I really liked it with the Batman and Dick stuff. I loved. If it would have just been focused more on that and not the other, Tom King idiosyncrasies, I would have enjoyed this book a whole hell of a lot more. But with the way this book ends, I cannot say that I am not anticipating the next issue, because I absolutely am. That last page absolutely has me on edge to see what's going to happen. And with that, I'm going to give this one, same as Teen Titans, I'm giving it a solid 3.5 Napkin Men.
Same as Teen Titans, 3.75 Napkin Men.
And to end off this video, we are going to cover Mr. Miracle number 11 out of 12 by Tom King and Mitch Jerrod. And what'd you think, Josh?
Okay, so as you guys have listened before, me and Jake here have not been huge fans of Tom King, let alone the Mr. Miracle run. It's been very overhyped. But the past few issues, we've been hooked.
Issue 9.
Yeah, since issue 9, we have been hooked. It was, I don't know if it's just because people wasn't coming in here and howling at us about it all the time and talking about how great it was, and they finally started dying out on that, or if it was just that finally started getting better. But regardless, this book still continues to be good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really excited for the last issue. I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to go. I hope it doesn't fall flat at the end. But so far it's enjoyable. I mean, it's fun, it's relatable, but at the same time, still dealing with, Darkseid and everything.
Yeah, and I think
make
that's
sense.
one of the best parts of this book is that you finally get Darkseid thrown in the mix. He's been teased since issue 1, and good God, it's been forever since issue 1 came out. Pretty sure it's been over a year by now.
Yeah.
I'm more than positive it has. And so Darkseid is. Now he's finally here. We're getting to the point where Scott and Barda have to, Scott Free and Big Barda have to give up their son in order to end the war, and I like that idea, and I'm starting to see what this is a big metaphor for, and that's basically Tom King leaving his past CIA life for a more conventional lifestyle, and it's like he probably got a lot of flack personally for doing that, and that's what this whole conflict is supposed to represent. So I'm starting to get, I really get that. It really comes across here. Tom King is definitely putting himself in the shoes of Scott Free. I really dig that. Darkseid being like the big government that he just had to kind of leave behind and basically tell F you to, because, we all know he was in the Iraq War as a CIA operative and shit like that, but this book really did it for me. There was one moment that really tugged at my heartstrings, and it's basically him just telling his son that he loves him,
Yeah.
And that really got me. And when you can evoke that kind of emotion from me as a reader, I go, okay, you did your job. There's a reveal here at the end that I'm not sure how I feel about. I'm gonna have to wait and see how it plays out in the next issue to see how I truly feel about it. But overall, I really did like the way they explained the life equation, the anti-life equation too.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting way, because it's something we've heard so much,
Throughout the DC universe.
Exactly.
Forever.
And the way Tom King defines it, I thought that's a really interesting way. Yes, it's still abstract, but it's a really interesting way. And he's, talks about taking the gun and the ammo and making them two separate things. I'm like, that is really cool. I'm really interested to see where this next issue goes, but I'm also not on the edge of my seat about it,
Yeah, I'm a little excited about it. I just want to see what happens. I think it's mostly just because this came out of nowhere, this liking of this book.
Right.
Because at first I did not really care, and then out of nowhere I start caring, and it's like, okay, well now it makes me want to go back and reread all that and read it all as one big lump sum, and I bet I'll probably appreciate those first few issues a lot more.
It might be a read better appreciated as just a single graphic novel. You sit it all down with once.
But also about tugging on the heartstrings, man, I'm right there with you. It tugged on my heartstrings a couple times, especially when I realized that Darkseid double dips.
Yeah.
I was like, man, really? That's cold,
Dude,
bro.
That's
so cold,
that's
bro.
worse than
Nobody wants your Darkseid germs.
Right in the ranch dressing.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you for
Wait a minute,
this
we never
video.
gave our scores.
Oh shit, my bad. You're right. Okay, so this one.
I'm trying to end it really fast.
This was my favorite of the DC run. I'm giving this one 3.75 napkin men.
That was your favorite of
This
the
is
DC?
my favorite of the DC runs this week.
No, I'm giving it. Fuck, I don't even remember. I didn't even think about it. Okay, let me think. I'll give it 3.75. I don't want to think about it too much.
All right. Well, guys, that is all we've got for you on this episode. If you guys were looking for the secret code phrase, that's definitely one of the other 3 videos we've uploaded today. So check out those if you haven't already for 20% off your pull list. Or you guys can always feel free to message us on the Facebook. Link in the description below. But please, guys, comment below. Let us know what you thought, what you read this week. Share this with your friends if they like to, talk about comic books or they read comic books and they have differing opinions. And of course, please, guys, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. It's been slowly growing, and we really appreciate all the support we've been getting. And we really hope that you've enjoyed this video. And check out any of the other ones that uploaded this week that you haven't. And we will see you next time. Take care.